Hey, do you feel like going on a boho beautiful tour of Mexico with me? Well, if you do, just stay tuned because that's what's coming up next. The first thing on my agenda after landing in Mexico was to visit this thrift store, which is interestingly called a bazaar. So that's what they call thrift stores in Mexico. I never knew that, but now whenever I go to Mexico, I'm constantly on the hunt for bazaars. At this particular one, the outbuilding was full of dust, and even though there was some oldish things, nothing really looked that interesting to me, especially with all that dust over everything. Honestly, I really wasn't impressed. I did find a couple of items, including this one painting, which you'll see in just a second. But when I inquired, there it is, the lady told me that none of those items were priced and she couldn't get a hold of the owner. So that was a little bit disappointing, but you know, it was my first stop, so no biggie. The only thing on this table of doodads was at hand, but ultimately I decided not to purchase it. Once I got into the interior of the store, I was really impressed with all the furniture, which is all handcrafted by local artists out of fine leather. And I absolutely loved those floral chairs, and the tables were really stunning. When I turned around, I noticed a couple of shelves of jewelry. Somehow the dust had floated in because they were all pretty dusty. This squash blossom looked identical to silver. I couldn't really even tell the difference. I still can't. I bought it, but I got a really good price on it. I also bought that one. But, you know, she was no fool. So they're not silver, but they definitely look it. Kill me, but I don't know what the names of those stones are. I'm gonna have to brush up on my stones. The rest of the jewelry, although it was really cool, I mean, it looked like most of it was from India or Thailand, which I love Indian jewelry, but I kind of had the feeling that she was gonna price stuff pretty spindly, if spindly is actually a word. Here, this bracelet I actually did buy, and I think I paid either $10 or $15 for it. I was going to keep it, but ultimately I wound up taking it to the store and I priced it at $35. I thought that little butterfly was really cute, and I did actually purchase some of the rings that were there. Again, they didn't look Mexican to me. They looked like they were probably, once again, made in India or Thailand. That was a pretty cool belt buckle. I didn't buy that one, but that one I did buy, and I polished it up and it looks amazing, and it did not wind up going to the store. I wound up keeping it for myself. So this was the haul from that consignment thrift store, and most of it went to the store, but I did keep the squash blossoms. So then I decided to hit the road and head north, but I had a lot of time on my hands, and so I decided to stop in the little town of Sayulita. So this this is supposedly a little sleepy Mexican village, but it's actually really, really popular with the surfing crowd. So it's considered like this alternative beach town, but honestly, to me, it's very Americanized. I mean, it still has all the charm of a Mexican town, but with all the amenities that gringos are looking for. But it is cute, and if you're a surfer, it's the place to go. So once I was back out on the road, I was just enjoying all the sunshine and the greenery. And my next stop before I got to my place was this market in the town of La Penita de Jatembla. I don't know what a Jatembla is, but I do actually like this market a lot. It's got a ton of textiles and lots of vendors. I actually have one of these in the store. I don't know if they're made in Mexico or not, but I thought it was pretty interesting. I love these crocheted tops. Usually the top part is just cotton, and typically it's white and white, but I love kind of that hippie chic look of the crocheting on the bottom. I didn't buy one because I already own two of them. I love these lacquered painted bowls. They're like pieces of art, just really stunning. There's a lot of clothing in this market, and I actually did pick up a really cute little jumper that somebody had sewn. Tons of wood products, tons of wood bowls and utensils and serving platters, and I wanted to buy those angel faces, but they were spendy. I always look at these purses. I think they're absolutely gorgeous, and these are not typical of Mexico. This must be a local artist that makes these. One day I'm gonna buy one. Lots of straw, lots of bamboo, well, not really bamboo stuff, but lots of straw stuff. So really beautiful baskets and purses. Then I got hungry and I decided to go to a cafe I've been to before and have a really delicious bowl of soup with some fresh homemade tortillas. It was really delicious, and the cafe is adorable. I really love going there. I decided I needed a picture of this bathroom because I love the contrast of the concrete with the tile, and this was that cute little outfit I picked up. Then I was back on the road heading north to the little town of Atacama where my house is. It is located almost in the middle between Mazatlan and Puerto Vallarta. So it is a tiny fishing village, but it is surrounded by the most beautiful beaches that are pretty much deserted during the week. So I love this little town. I've had my house here for over 20 years, and it is decorated in an explosion of color, textures, design. I'm always looking for art and pieces of furniture, anything to make it look happy and homey. It's actually an Airbnb, so we get quite a few guests that come and stay. And I put in a pool last year. It was a great investment, and people are loving it. They also love the view, and they love the town as well. It's so friendly there, and there's always families that are visiting from other parts of Mexico that are also vacationing there. When I wasn't at the house, I hit the beaches, and I pretty much swam every single day, and I had such a blast. I'd never swam that much before, and I also read a lot. And when I wasn't doing either of those things, I was waiting for my seafood to come, and it was always so delicious. They're known for shrimp there, and it is so yummy. But I finally got cabin fever, and I decided to head to Guadalajara, which is the second largest city in Mexico. It is modern and historic all at the same time. It really has kind of an artist's feel to it. It's very much into culture and history, and that's where a lot of stores all over the world come to shop for their handicrafts um, that they sell in their stores. So lots of amazing shopping in Guadalajara, right out, actually not downtown, but in a little town right outside called Tonalá, which I love to go look at. So if you ever get a chance to go, it is well worth the visit, and it's really a pretty easy city to get around in. I was on the hunt for boho dresses for the store. I had picked up a couple in my little town, and I loved them so much I figured out how to get a hold of the supplier, which was in Guadalajara, and that's why I decided to make the 3.5-hour trip to go get them. But while I was there, I had a blast. I stayed with my friend and visited, and then I went to Tonalá and just to see what I could find either for the house or for the store. And I did actually score some things. I really fell in love with this particular store, Mercado del Sol in Tonalá, and if I had my druthers, I would actually buy a container. I think you rent a container and fill it up with all the fabulous pottery and goods that they had in this store. I think I probably spent an hour in here looking around because there was so much to look at. I loved those beads, but I was looking for some that were actually much smaller because they're not wood, they're pottery beads. And I did wind up bringing a few of them home with me, but I didn't spend a heck of a lot of time in Tonalá. I was already late getting to my friend's place, so an hour though just didn't seem quite enough time to go through everything in this particular location. So not only did they have a lot of pottery, but they had like a lot of old artifacts, which would be really cool to decorate with. But you know, once again, they're I don't know, like there's only so much I could bring in my suitcase. I did wind up grabbing a couple of big Rubbermaid bins, which I packed with those boho dresses, and I did actually buy a planter here, and you'll see her in just a second. I totally fell in love with like this Mother Earth. I thought she was a Mother Earth, but come to find out she was a mermaid. And doesn't she look just amazing on my patio, which fronts the Pacific Ocean? I also grabbed a ton of these masks. There are huge sellers at the store, and a couple of these pottery beads. I hit this little store up where I bought leaded glass art, and so I only found a few, but I grabbed all I could get. And then this was the selection of the boho beautiful dresses that I actually went all the way to Guadalajara to pick up. And of course, I grabbed some Frida Kahlo art. So I went back home for a few days, and then I decided to head south to go to an ancient site where there are still petroglyphs. So these petroglyphs are over 2,500 years old. This was my hotel room that I stayed in the little town of Rincon de Guayabitos, which is a huge tourist destination for Mexicans. Then I hiked to the petroglyphs, which were pretty fascinating, and honestly, it was a really good workout because I had to hike all the way down to a creek bed to find them. All in all, it was a great excursion and well worth the effort. The next day, I took a guided horseback ride over this big mountain overlooking the valley, and then we dropped down to this really amazing, almost virgin beach, which I vowed to get back to the next time I visit, just to go swimming all on my own. Before I went back home, I decided to stop at my favorite nursery. I actually bought all of my palm trees here over 20 years ago when I planted the garden at Casa Carina. And it's just so much fun to be able to go to a nursery where they have massive amounts of palm trees and tropical plants. All in all, on this trip, I wound up making 4 visits to 3 different nurseries, and I bought a ton of plants. So the garden, the next time I go, is going to look amazing. The one in Guadalajara was so cool. It almost looked like an artist's retreat. And my favorite part of it was this cute little kitten I wanted to bring home. So I had forgotten how much I love plants and I love gardens and gardening. I didn't actually plant any of the plants. There's a gardener that does that, but it was a lot of fun picking them out. I did plant the pots though, and these look really good. They're now inside my house as well as outside my house, and I hope they do well. This little maguey, that which you actually make mezcal and tequila out of, I bought last time I was here, and I love him. He looks amazing. So many beautiful. Once home, I went back to my routine of swimming every day, working on basking in the sun, doing a ton of reading, and enjoying all the wonderful seafood I could possibly eat. I also found the churro man, which was a huge delight. I swam in the pool, and before I knew it, my 2 weeks were up, and it was time to pack up and head home, my other home. So I hope you enjoyed this Boho beautiful back roads tour of Mexico and that you'll join me on my next adventure. So I can't wait till the day that I head off again.